NASA has been exploring Mars for decades, but recently, the red planet revealed something that left scientists scratching their heads. Strange rock formations, unexplained methane spikes, and even unusual sounds have all raised one big question: is Mars hiding something from us? Today, we're diving deep into NASA's most mysterious discoveries on Mars, and trust me, the ending will leave you questioning everything. When we talk about Mars, it's easy to imagine a dusty red desert with nothing but rocks and silence. But for NASA, the story of Mars began way back in the 1960s. The very first flybys with spacecraft like Mariner 4 gave us a glimpse of the planet, and honestly, it was underwhelming. Craters, dust, and no clear signs of life. Many scientists at the time thought, well, that's it. Mars is just a dead rock floating in space. But here's the thing. Humans are stubborn dreamers. We've always believed there might be more. In the 1970s, NASA launched the Viking missions. And these weren't just flybys, they were landers. For the first time, we put robotic feet on Martian soil. You can almost imagine the excitement in mission control, as the first clear images of the surface of Mars appeared on the monitors. And then came the shocker. Viking carried out experiments designed to test for life. Simple chemical reactions in the soil. Some of the results looked strange. It seemed like there was chemical activity that could have been biological. Could microbes really exist in the Martian soil? The scientific community split right down the middle. Some said, this is it, proof of life. Others insisted it was just chemistry playing tricks. That disagreement still echoes today. Decades later, scientists still debate whether Viking may have accidentally stumbled across the first evidence of life on another planet, and simply didn't know how to interpret it. Imagine if we had actually discovered life back in the 1970s. How different would our world be today? So, Mars exploration didn't start with a bang or a dramatic alien signal. It started with a question, an uncomfortable, unresolved question that continues to push NASA forward. What if Mars isn't as dead as it looks? In 1976, NASA's Viking 1 spacecraft was orbiting Mars, snapping photographs of the planet's surface. Most of the images were what you'd expect: craters, rocks, endless deserts. But then, one image stood out. In a region called Cydonia, the camera captured what looked like a massive human face carved into the Martian ground. 2 eyes, a nose, a mouth. It was eerie. Almost as if someone, or something, had sculpted it. When NASA first released the image, they tried to calm people down. They said it was just a trick of light and shadow. But by then, the photo had already escaped into the public eye. Newspapers published it, magazines ran the story, and people everywhere started whispering, what if this was evidence of an ancient Martian civilization? Think about it. Back in the late 70s and 80s, people were already fascinated by UFOs, Area 51, and the possibility of life beyond Earth. And now, here was NASA's own camera showing what looked like a giant stone face staring back at us from another planet. It was the perfect fuel for conspiracy theories, and for a moment, it felt like maybe we weren't so alone after all. Years later, NASA sent better cameras and higher-resolution orbiters to look again at the so-called face. This time, the mystery seemed to dissolve. In clearer images, it was just a rocky mesa, a natural hill shaped by erosion. The face was gone, replaced by nothing more than an oddly shaped pile of stone. For many scientists, that was the end of the story. Case closed. But for millions of people, the legend of the face on Mars never died. It became a symbol, a reminder that even if the official explanation was natural, Mars continues to tease us with strange shapes, shadows, and mysteries. Was it just coincidence? Or did Viking 1 accidentally capture something that science can't explain yet? That haunting image still lingers in people's minds, sparking the same question we've been asking for decades: what if we aren't alone? After the Viking missions, Mars went quiet for a while. For years, all we had were a few grainy photos and unanswered questions. But then came the 2000s, a new era of exploration. This time, NASA wasn't just sending cameras. They were sending rovers. Robots that could drive, drill, test, and explore the Martian surface in ways we'd never done before. It was like upgrading from postcards to actually walking through the desert yourself. The first big successes were Spirit and Opportunity. These twin rovers landed in 2004, and honestly, nobody expected them to last long. Spirit was supposed to work for 90 days. Instead, it survived for over 6 years. Opportunity? That little robot kept going for almost 15 years. That's not just impressive, it's inspiring. These weren't just machines. They became like robotic explorers, pushing on against dust storms and freezing nights. And what they found changed everything. Spirit stumbled upon rocks that could only have formed in water, while Opportunity rolled across what looked like an ancient shoreline. For the first time, NASA had proof Mars once had liquid water flowing across its surface. Rivers, lakes, maybe even oceans. Suddenly, Mars wasn't just a dead world. It was a planet that had once been alive with rushing streams and rainfall. Then came Curiosity in 2012, bigger, stronger, packed with science instruments. Imagine a nuclear-powered SUV driving across Mars, analyzing soil, drilling into rocks, and beaming back selfies from another world. Curiosity found even more evidence of ancient rivers, and it detected chemical ingredients that hinted Mars could have supported life. With every discovery, the story of Mars got stranger and more exciting. For the American public, these rovers became heroes. They weren't just NASA's machines, they were our explorers. Kids wrote them letters. People cried when Opportunity sent its last message. My battery is low and it's getting dark. These rovers weren't just tools of science. They were symbols of our human drive to explore, to keep searching for the truth, even on a cold, lonely world millions of miles away. Mars has always had a way of surprising us, but one of the strangest moments came in 2014 with NASA's Opportunity rover. Picture this: the rover is sitting still, taking routine photos of the ground around it. The images come back, nothing unusual, just the same dusty rocks it had seen before. But then, just a few days later, Opportunity takes another photo of the exact same spot, and suddenly, there's a new rock sitting right there. A rock that wasn't there before. NASA called it the Jelly Donut Rock, because it looked white on the outside and darker in the middle, almost like something you'd pick up at a bakery instead of on a barren alien planet. Everyone at first assumed it must have been knocked into place by the rover's own wheels. But here's the strange part. Nobody actually saw that happen. And the way the rock just appeared out of nowhere had scientists and the public buzzing with questions. Some said, "Relax, it's just a rock." But others couldn't let it go. How does a rock suddenly show up in a place where nothing else had changed? Was Mars itself shifting? Could there have been some geological activity we didn't know about? Or, in the minds of more imaginative people, was something or someone moving things around when we weren't looking? NASA eventually explained it as probably being dislodged by the rover's movement. But the mystery stuck, especially because the rock's composition turned out to be unusual, filled with high amounts of sulfur and manganese. Even for a random Martian rock, it wasn't typical. That left people wondering, did Opportunity just stumble across something rare, or was Mars trying to tell us a deeper story through its rocks? Moments like this remind us why exploring Mars is so addictive. Sometimes it isn't the big discoveries that get us hooked, it's the little mysteries, the odd surprises that feel almost playful. A rock that shouldn't be there, but is. A small reminder that Mars is still full of secrets, waiting for us to uncover them one by one. One of the strangest puzzles on Mars doesn't come from rocks or soil, it comes from the air itself. In 2013, NASA's Curiosity rover made a discovery that shook the scientific world: methane gas in the Martian atmosphere. At first, it was just a trace, barely detectable. But then, over the years, scientists noticed something even stranger: the methane wasn't constant. It rose and fell, almost like Mars was breathing. Now, here's why that matters. On Earth, most of our methane comes from living things, microbes, animals, even humans. Yes, cows are famous for it. But geology can also create methane through chemical reactions underground. So when Curiosity picked it up, the big question became, Is this life? Or is this just rocks doing chemistry? The mystery deepened when the methane spikes seemed seasonal. Some years it was higher, some lower. Imagine how thrilling, and frustrating, that must be for NASA scientists. Every time they think they've solved it, Mars throws another curveball. It's as if the planet itself is teasing us, hinting at life, but never confirming it. To make things even stranger, the European Space Agency sent its own orbiter, the Trace Gas Orbiter, to look for methane from above. But guess what? It didn't detect the same spikes Curiosity did. That left scientists scratching their heads. How could one rover on the surface detect methane, while a spacecraft in orbit saw almost nothing? Was the methane only appearing in specific places? Was it vanishing quickly? Or was something happening underground that we don't yet understand? For many people, this mystery is one of the most exciting clues about Mars. Because if even a tiny fraction of that methane comes from life, just microbes living deep beneath the soil, then it would mean we're not alone, not even in our own solar system. And maybe, just maybe, the red planet is alive in ways we never imagined. For decades, we could only see Mars through photographs. But imagine standing on another planet and finally hearing it. That moment came in 2021, when NASA's Perseverance rover switched on its microphones and captured the very first sounds ever recorded on Mars. And what it sent back was haunting. At first, we heard the soft, eerie rush of Martian wind. A low, ghostly whisper sweeping across the barren desert. Then came the sharp crackles of tiny dust devils swirling across the surface. It wasn't just data anymore. It was the voice of another world. Millions of miles away, Mars finally spoke, and for the first time in history, humanity listened. But here's where it gets strange. Some of the sounds didn't behave the way scientists expected. On Earth, sound travels at one speed. But on Mars? Perseverance picked up two different speeds of sound, depending on the pitch. That means voices or noises that would sound distorted, delayed, even alien to our ears. Imagine trying to talk to someone and their words arrive broken, warped, like echoes in a dream. There were also unexplained clicks, pops, and hums in the recordings. NASA explained some as the rover's own machinery, but not all. Some sounds were unfamiliar, atmospheric effects we don't fully understand yet. Mars has a thin, carbon dioxide-rich atmosphere, and it changes the way sound waves move. In other words, Mars doesn't just look alien, it sounds alien too. For people listening back home, these recordings were chilling. It's one thing to see a picture of Mars, it feels distant, untouchable. But hearing it? That made the red planet suddenly real, alive, almost within reach. It was as if Mars was whispering across the void. I'm here, come find me. For years, scientists believed Mars had once been wet but was now bone dry. Ancient riverbeds and dried-up lakebeds told a story of a planet that had lost its water billions of years ago. But in 2018, something extraordinary happened. NASA and European scientists announced that they had detected signs of liquid water hidden beneath the surface of Mars. The discovery came from radar scans of the planet's south pole. Beneath layers of ice, researchers found what looked like a massive underground lake stretching for miles. Let that sink in, a hidden body of liquid water, right now, on a planet we thought was completely dry. This wasn't ancient history. This was Mars today. And here's why it shook the scientific world. Wherever we find water on Earth, we usually find life. From the deepest oceans to boiling hot springs, from Arctic ice to desert caves, if there's water, there's something alive. So, the thought of an underground Martian lake lit up imaginations everywhere. Could microbial life be swimming in those dark, icy waters, protected from the harsh surface? But, of course, with discovery comes doubt. Some scientists argued that what radar saw wasn't liquid water at all. It might have been salty slush, or even unusual clay giving off the same signal. The debate grew fierce, but one thing was clear: Mars still holds mysteries beneath its surface that we've barely begun to uncover. For everyday people back on Earth, this discovery felt like a turning point. The idea that Mars might still have water today means it might not be as dead as it looks. It means we're closer than ever to answering humanity's oldest question: are we truly alone? Or is something still alive, quietly hiding in the shadows of another world? In May 2022, the Curiosity rover sent back a photograph that immediately exploded across the internet. At first glance, it didn't look like a random rock or crater. No, this one looked like a doorway, carved right into the side of a cliff. A rectangular opening, clean edges, a shadowy interior. People stared at it and thought, that looks like the entrance to something. NASA quickly explained it away as a natural fracture. They said the cracks in the rock formed over millions of years, and the angle of sunlight just made it appear like a doorway. To scientists, it wasn't evidence of aliens, it was geology doing what geology does. But let's be honest, once you've seen it, it's hard to unsee. The shape was too perfect. It didn't look random. It looked intentional. The photo spread like wildfire. Social media lit up with theories. Some said it was proof of an ancient Martian civilization. Others thought it could be a tunnel or cave entrance hiding something underground. For many, it felt like NASA was downplaying a discovery that could rewrite history. After all, how often does a natural crack look like an actual doorway? Even though scientists insisted there was nothing mysterious, the public's imagination ran wild. Because here's the thing, Mars has a history of teasing us with shapes that remind us of home. First the face on Mars, and now this doorway. It makes you wonder, are we just seeing patterns in rocks? Or is Mars trying to tell us a story we don't yet understand? And maybe that's why the doorway captured so much attention. It wasn't just about rocks and geology. It was about possibility. A tiny opening in a Martian cliff that whispered to us, what if? What if we're not the first to walk this planet? What if Mars holds secrets buried deeper than we can imagine? When NASA's Perseverance rover touched down on Mars in 2021, its mission was clear: search for signs of ancient life. Unlike its predecessors, Perseverance carried cutting-edge instruments, and even a system to collect and store rock samples for a future return to Earth. This was more than exploration, it was detective work, digging into Mars' past to see if life ever left behind its fingerprints. In the Jezero crater, a place scientists believe was once a massive lake, Perseverance began drilling into rocks and soil. And then came the surprising news: the rover detected organic molecules. On Earth, these carbon-based compounds are the building blocks of life. They don't prove life existed on Mars, but they raise the stakes higher than ever before. Because if you find the ingredients, you can't help but wonder, was the recipe ever complete? For scientists, this discovery was electrifying. Jezero wasn't just any crater, it was once filled with water and had flowing rivers feeding into it. That made it a perfect place for microbial life to thrive billions of years ago. And now, with Perseverance confirming organics in the very rocks that once sat at the bottom of that lake, it feels like the pieces of the puzzle are finally starting to come together. But here's the twist: we won't know for sure until those samples are brought back to Earth. NASA and the European Space Agency are planning a daring mission to collect Perseverance's sealed tubes and return them home, hopefully within the next decade. Imagine the suspense: we're sitting on potential evidence of alien life, locked inside tiny containers on another planet, just waiting to be analyzed in Earth's labs. For the public, Perseverance's discoveries felt like standing on the edge of history. We may be closer than ever to answering one of humanity's greatest questions: did life ever exist on Mars? And maybe, just maybe, those little tubes of rock and dust hold the answer we've been searching for all along. After decades of exploration, NASA has given us a Mars full of mysteries. Strange rock formations, methane, breaths, eerie sounds, possible underground lakes, a doorway in a cliff, and even organic molecules buried in ancient sediments. Piece by piece, the red planet has whispered clues, but never shouted the truth. It's like a puzzle missing its final piece, a mystery that keeps pulling us back. And here's the emotional weight of it: if life ever existed on Mars, even the tiniest microbe, it changes everything. It means life isn't a miracle unique to Earth. It means the universe may be full of life, scattered across billions of planets and moons. And that realization? It's both thrilling and humbling. But the other possibility is just as haunting. What if Mars once had life, but lost it? What if it tells us a story of a world that had rivers, lakes, and maybe thriving organisms, only to dry up and die? If that's true, Mars isn't just a mystery. It's a warning. A reminder that even a living planet can lose everything. For scientists, the search goes on. Missions are being planned, samples are being stored, and future astronauts may one day walk across the Martian deserts themselves. Maybe the answers are buried beneath the surface. Maybe they're already locked in those little sample tubes, waiting to come home. For us back on Earth, Mars is more than a red dot in the sky. It's a mirror. A reflection of what could have been, or what could still be. And maybe that's why the question lingers louder than ever. Are we truly alone? Or is Mars, right now, hiding the secret that could prove we're part of something much bigger? So, what do you think? Are these strange findings just natural science? Or is Mars trying to tell us it once hosted life? NASA's next missions may finally give us the answer. Until then, Mars remains the planet of secrets.